parents. Okay? Okay? I don't know how things gonna turn out for you. I ain't got no idea how nothing gonna turn out. No idea at all. Okay, I had to tell them that I pick y'all up. Okay? I had to tell them I pick y'all up, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. But I didn't know nothing. I didn't know nothing the second I told y'all don't tell me nothing. Didn't I tell you that? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, baby. So I'm so sorry you got to go through what you're going through. But if God help you out of this, please get yourself together, baby. And it's going to take a miracle. It's going to take a miracle that we don't have. You can turn me loose now. You can sit back down because I don't know what's going to happen, baby. I don't know what's going to happen. Your grandma don't know. Ain't nothing we can do to help you now. It's all over now. I know. It's a hard pill to swallow.
You can't see my brothers no more.
No, nobody. That's why when you have your precious time, it should be precious time.
I didn't get to get that girl right yet.
Well, Andre, you have to mind your company that you keep. And I always tell you that to mind your company that you keep.
Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Love, and boy, I tell you, that is a gut buster right there. Hey, the general is on special assignment tonight, and I have joining me is the very distinguished Doc Polite. Doc, how you doing tonight, brother?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. That's heart wrenching right there. Every time I see it, I hear something else. Grandma said it's gonna take a miracle, and we don't have a miracle. If that's not the epitome of despair and hopelessness, for your grandmother to stand there and tell you your situation is not even going to get a miracle to get you out of it, you in trouble.
Yeah, Doc. And Doc, let's set the backdrop for this, man. What we wanted to go ahead and bring to the audience tonight is something that happens all too often, and that is young people finding themselves in situations that changes their life forever. And that is, that young man that you just saw, and I guess we're gonna assume, and I'm gonna just use that word, that this young man was involved in something that was life-changing. You heard the grandmother tell him it's gonna take a miracle, but there are some other messages in that, Doc. And what's some more of those messages that you picked up?
Well, we frame this thing up of and I'm gonna go ahead and tell the people what this is based on. We had a conversation the other week, and we got a hold of this clip, and the clip alludes to the concept that we all have 3 yards, that we have to make a choice whether to live in those yards. And one is the home yard. The next is the prison yard. And the last is the graveyard. And we have a duty to take and care for children so that they don't end up in the graveyard or the prison yard. So we got them at home. While we got them in the home yard, we need to equip them to avoid the graveyard and the prison yard. And watching this clip, I mean, Rod, me and you, we've been chewing this thing a week, and every time we look at it, it's just
something else sticks out.
Yeah,
Because think about all those life lessons that we've gotten, that we've ignored from our own parents. And the grandmother starts out by saying, you need to you should have listened to your parents. Then she goes into the part that people didn't see is when she told him to get up and give me a hug, baby. And then had to tell him,
let me go.
You can let me go now. Doc, how old you think that kid was?
I'd say he's about 14, 15. I think, and just by the fact, and we were talking on the break about this, just by the fact that we are seeing this, usually in this in the process, this kind of stuff doesn't make it to the public airwaves.
Mm-hmm.
So we have concluded more than likely this kid has already been adjudicated, and he was probably adjudicated as an adult, because it seems as if whatever happened is horrific.
Yeah.
Because just by the despair, and I mean, I hate to hear that kid's cry. You know, he knows in his heart of heart that the world is gonna drop on him.
But Doc, just like I mentioned to you before, this is something, man. I truly believe that you need to show clips like this in the schools. This needs to be something that there's a focus in the school on better decision making, because what's taking place with a lot of these young people's lives, man, is changing. It's going to change. We see more and more of these clips on a regular basis, Doc, to where you have young men going away for 20, 30 years. And again, Doc, I think when we look at communities where you have a high rate of delinquency, you have a high rate of calls for service by law enforcement, SRO involvement, I think, Doc, these are the kind of curriculums, if you would, that these young men and young ladies need to be exposed to. And that's why, Doc, we're showing this tonight, because there ain't no coming back from that, Doc.
Mm-hmm. Well, I found the nexus of this. Here's what happened. This happened in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And the young man was sentenced to 35 years in prison.
For
murder. He's 18.
He was 18 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Man. Doc.
But it happened before his 18th birthday. So he'll be able to file an appeal after 24 years.
After 24 years.
24 years.
Hey, but Doc, that's why we need to open this up to those of you who are tuned in to Let's Talk Nation. We're talking tonight about what are some of the solutions. I mean, for those of you who saw the video, and Doc is going to be rolling some other footage as we get into this evening, but what are some of the solutions that we can wrap our arms around? What are some of the things that we can do to impact young people before they get too far down the road like that young man is?
Well, you know, we've been chewing on this this problem in society for the last 40, 50 years, right? And it doesn't get any simpler, nor does it get any easier to discuss, because it seems like it's a never-ending cycle. And we are seeing absolutely more kids, more young people who are getting caught up in situations like this.
But Doc, where do you start first, though? I mean, and I'm gonna tell you where I would suggest you start first. You gotta hold accountability at home first before we start looking at other places to blame. Schools not doing their job. So some people like to say, we have the faith community that's over on this other side, and people are asking how much engagement is taking place there. We got to look at what are the assets in communities, but at the same time, we got to hold community and families accountable.
You just pointed out something, and I'm not aware. I'm not sure you even think about it. How do we so easily move to the school and to the church and bypass the families and the parents first? They should be first in line.
And that's what I was saying. Accountability needs to start at home first.
Well, they are starting to see, the courts are starting to see it that way, and they're going to start sentencing parents
Because
because
I'd be interested. I'd be interested in what our audience has to say about that too, Doc. Hey, if you're tuned in, we'd like to hear what your perspective is as to where do we need to start. What are some of the solutions in addressing the issues that are plaguing young people? And that phone number is 407-921-6195. We'd like to hear what you have to say.
and y'all go ahead and throw it in the chat as well. We got chat. You can click on it and put your answer right there or your ideas, and we'll put it up on the screen and talk about it. You know,
Doc, we got a caller here. Hey,
okay.
We have Mr. John Burns with us tonight. John, how are you doing? Oh, hold on 1 second, John. I don't know. Hold on 1 second, John. We have a little technical glitch here. All right, I think we have you, John. You there?
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
So what do you think, John?
Well, we have a fundamental flaw in our society, Ron. The fundamental flaw is that literally every is all reactionary, it's all punitive, it's not preventive. Let me give you an example. We have a thing called conflict resolution or de-escalation. But doesn't conflict resolution presuppose? We're reacting to conflict. We're not preventing it, right? Same thing with we're resolving conflict that exists. So we're reacting to conflict. We're not preventing it. Likewise with de-escalation, aren't we de-escalating something that's already in conflict? So conflict resolution as a system, which we use to get out in front of and prevent further escalation and violence, but we are reacting to conflict. And since there are humans who will express their conflict with violence, and we see that on college campuses across the nation, right? So these humans are expressing their conflict with violence. So if you truly want to prevent violence, don't you have to get out in front of conflict?
And John,
yeah.
To do that.
And John, you're right on point. But let me ask you this question. And John, please let everybody know your company, who you represent.
Sure. And my company is the Center for Aggression Management, and our system is designed to get out in front of conflict and prevent it. We call it the Critical Aggression Prevention System, or CAPS. But the same problem exists with sexual harassment. Doesn't that represent someone already exhibiting sexual harassment behavior? Bullying in our schools, already exhibiting bullying behavior. These systems are punitive systems, Rod. They're designed to identify an offender and punish that offender. This is why we have good kids, going into high school and then transitioning into jail or prison. Because we're not getting out in front of this behavior, we're reacting to this behavior.
So John, how do we get out in front of it? Because Doc and I are old school. We remember the days of biopsychosocials. So tell me, how did you get out in front of it?
Well, in our day, because I'm from the same era, we had parents who were engaged.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the old saying was back in the 50s when before there was air conditioning, everybody used to sit out on a patio or porch.
You're right.
And you saw what was going on. You didn't dare do something wrong because someone would tell your parents.
It was a village. It was a village back then.
That's right, exactly. But now, everybody's inside, nobody sees. So we've also lost much of that as well. So my only hope here is if we can get out in front, and that's what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, look, we don't have the time to try to do this today on the show, but what we've tried to develop is this: identify what is aggressive behavior, because if we call it aggressive behavior, we can get out in front. That's what we discovered were these precursors to conflict, to bullying, to abuse, discrimination, and even violence. I mean, violence is the worst because what is this system of violence? It's called active shooter response training. What are you doing? You're responding to an active shooter who's already murdering people.
So
That's unacceptable.
So John, let me ask you this question, because I like where you're going with this. But John, we have, and Doc and I talked about this on the earlier show.
Yes.
We see now where there's more money in the treatment versus the cure.
Yes.
And we see, and particularly, and I'm gonna say here in Orange County, and I gotta take my hat off to Orange County because it's trying to be proactive. You see different funding streams that's dealing with youth trauma, youth violence, and things of that nature. But John, what can your company bring to the forefront that's teaching or training these different programs so that they can look for red flags?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is exactly what we'd like to be able to achieve for you. But, I mean, God love them, law enforcement is so wrapped up in responding, they just don't have much of a mindset for prevention. And so I've hit walls every time I've tried to work with law enforcement. You've seen me try to do that in the past, right? So it's a real struggle there. But if we could give, I mean, if we got this, and Doc will appreciate this, we got this scientifically validated as reliable. So we're identifying human-based indicators, precursors to conflict, bullying, abuse, discrimination. So by training people what these precursors are, and then you give them the skill sets. Number one, not just to diffuse, but to redirect. And that's a key element here, because we're teaching people not just how to identify these behaviors that are, again, scientifically reliable and do not violate HIPAA, because we do not use mental health assessments. They're too subjective. They're notoriously inaccurate. So we don't use mental health assessments or psychological evaluations. Number two, we do not use culture, gender, education, age, sexual orientation, or religion. So we don't violate FERPA in our schools, and we do not violate the Civil Rights Act of 1964. What does that mean? It means that we can record and track aggressive behavior with a certain impunity. That's unheard of, because everybody is keeping data, and Doc, I'm sure you'll appreciate this. Everybody is keeping data or trying to keep it confidential. Why? Because if it does becomes divulged, then you're going to have people breaking the HIPAA, FERPA, or the Civil Rights Act. Well, ours doesn't. So we can keep ours confidential, but you don't have to.
So John, are you working with any of the schools?
I am trying to work with schools, but they're so caught up in the state required. The state put together the app, the Fortified Florida app, and I said to them when I was working with several of those groups back when they were trying to put that together, and I said, guys, if you don't have a CAPS component to this thing, it's going to get shut down. Why? Because anybody can say anything. And the moment some kid says that girl is crazy, you've broken a rule. So before you know it, you're going to wind up getting this thing that's going to be. And I spoke to the Orange County's police chief, the Orange County Public Schools police chief. He said, John, I really like what you're doing, but I don't have bandwidth for more, because anybody can call in anything, and I have to respond to it.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, and something horrible happens, then that's gross negligence, and that actually puts us at risk. So I would love to work with schools, but I keep hitting this wall, because the wall is we have to do what the state tells us to do. That means I have to get even more political and try to go through Tallahassee, and that's been a nightmare. I don't have the funding to do that kind of game.
Well, John, I know you've been out there, man, and I mean, you've been working it, and you've been really raising the flag to say, hey, here's help.
That's right.
And so, man, you're always welcome on Let's Talk Nation. And John, I think, man, as I mentioned to Doc earlier, there's this story about these kids floating down river, and you see people going in the river, getting these kids out. I think we need to go upstream and figure what's
throwing them
in the river. And so with that being said, John, I think I don't know what your engagement has been on the prevention side because, I got to, again, take my hats off to Orange County. I know the city of Orlando's doing some things too, but I think there's a place for what you're doing that can actually train providers to look at working with these kids in high risk communities in particular.
Yeah, Rod, what we've done is we call this the Aggression Prevention Masterclass. We're offering the training because when you try to put the whole system in, it means you've got to get all these approvals for the software, you've got to get all the approvals for training all the people. But so we've created what we call the Aggression Prevention Masterclass. It's inexpensive. Any one person can take it. So if you're a parent or you're a school, someone working in schools that just want these skill sets for a nominal cost, you can get in and learn these skill sets. And we're actually doing something now where we're actually going to give your first year of the CAPS mobile app. We're going to actually give that to you if you take this course. And it's actually a combination of two courses. We teach you how to identify all these behaviors. They're all in the app. And then we teach you how to engage and redirect. And that's the key, Rob, because here's the key. We train people to identify not only that they're being aggressive, but the path that they're on. Mm-hmm. Remember, humans tend to do what they perceive as in their best interest, right? Mm-hmm. So we're training people to recognize that the path that this person is on has got consequences. And the consequences are that we're training people to convince this aggressor that those consequences do not want those consequences because they're that bad. Now we redirect them. We give them an alternative path. This alternative path is a constructive path. It's a positive path. It addresses their issue, but it doesn't have any of those consequences.
Hey, John, two things, man. I want to thank you for calling in, but two things before I let you go. The first one is you kind of pull the onion back for me to a degree to where I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you. And Doc, this goes along our conversation. Mm-hmm. This can directly relate to families. When we talk about accountability, yes. Parents can actually go and receive this training. So if they see some of these triggers or red flags in their own children, they have the tools that they need. That's the first thing, John. Absolutely. The second thing, John, how would anybody get a hold of you, man, if they're interested in, just engaging you for your training?
Well, first of all, our website is aggressionmanagement.com. It's that simple, aggressionmanagement.com. Anybody who wants to call me and get access to this training, my telephone number is 407-718-5637. And if you didn't get a chance to write that down, you go to aggressionmanagement.com. That number is there on the front page. My email's there on that front page. Get in touch with me. I'm happy to give you the details so you can do it for your school or your family. It really is a solution that is desperately needed right now. And when I hear you talking about how do we get out in front of this and prevent it and stop having kids go to high school and then to jail and to prison, this is a system that is scientifically validated as reliable, and it does not violate any of those landmines that people are scared of.
Hey, John, man, let me thank you. And you're always welcome, and you bring a wealth of knowledge and information. And once again, everybody, this is Mr. John Burns. He is the president, founder of Aggression Management, and you can contact him at area code 407-718-5637. John, thank you once again, man. Appreciate you, my friend.
My pleasure. My great pleasure. Right.
Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, and so, we have a wealth of information for you. And we have folk out there that can actually bring a great deal of value. Doc, we were talking about accountability.
And John was absolutely right. So much of this is because we're not teaching living and life skills, we're subjecting our society to where we are now. We are not teaching. See, it's funny. We can go and learn about dead Englishmen from the Enlightenment period, Plato, Shakespeare, and all these people, but we're not teaching people how to live now, so that we have a safe and constructive society.
Hey, Doc, here's something that John brought up, man. And I John we've known John, man, for some years now, man. I mean, what he brings to the table is of great value.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man, why I never thought about the fact that you don't have to wait till you go to a school. And, I heard John talk about, his engagement or his attempted engagement with law enforcement to provide this training to them as well. But just think about this. If you're a parent out there and you're looking at how do you help your child or your children, here's a training for you. Mm-hmm. Here's the tools that you need. And for those of you who didn't get the phone number, it's scrolling across the screen right now, but you can also go to aggressionmanagement.com and you can follow up. And I would encourage the faith community to look at
reach out to him.
Yeah,
because it can help. Many times I think pastors get those parents that come in, and the parents are usually at their wits' end.
Yeah,
maybe this can become a resource for them. You have to know how to use everything available, man. And
the problem, Doctor, where you're going with this, the problem is a lot of people don't know where to go for help.
Well, yeah, but you know something else that I thought about too, as John was talking, is the fact that, Rod, when you were coming up, did your mom say everything in front of you?
No.
Okay. And they would often tell you what? Stay out of grown folks' business. Mind your business.
Hey, Doc, we live in a different time, because you and I mean, kids hear us talk about our parents telling us to go get a switch, and if we didn't go get the right size, they go pull up the tree. We live in a different time now. But
it's
children.
not that, because yesterday, I was thinking, this is what when he was talking, it triggered what I watched yesterday. I was on Facebook, and this young mom, the kid had to be about, it looked like one of them was probably about 24 months, 36 months. And the other one was probably kindergarten age. And then she had one that was probably second, third grade in the car with her. And she started rapping. And all this stuff come popping out her mouth. Now, I don't know about you, but I couldn't see Velma spitting rhymes and cussing like that. No. And I told you, I never knew my mama cussed that much until I got to be an adult. But I definitely remember her not saying things or telling me, leave the room, go outside or go to your room. So I would not be exposed to whatever discussion was going on that was not for my absorption.
You're right. Hey, Doc, you and I, we spoke earlier, and we talked about programs like Scared Straight and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Doc, if you could, and I don't know how many clips we have available, we wrote one clip of a young man who, as you mentioned, was sentenced to 35 years to prison for murder. These are things that are taking place, unfortunately, every day in communities around the country. But I think we do ourselves a disservice by not showing this to young people.
Yeah. So I'm going to, this next clip I'm going to show you is I just want to get your reaction about what this young man does.
In court after an admitted killer is caught on camera smiling during his sentencing. A judge fed up with that casual attitude stopped the proceedings in a surprising move. 7 Action News reporter Shelley Childers live in the newsroom right now with what happened next. Shelley?
Well, Stephen, it's a case of a murdered Ann Arbor teen, and it was quite a shakeup in court today. The judge asked the prosecutor to throw out the sentence agreement and take this case to trial. There was a long recess as everything was put on pause because of this 17-year-old's behavior.
Donta Wright sat in court smiling and nearly laughing as a mother shed tears for her son shot and killed by Wright.
I've lost laughter and love. I no longer have the hope of having grandchildren. I've lost the enjoyment of holidays and birthdays and of everyday life.
Wright addressed the court showing no remorse.
I just want to tell y'all, I'll be home soon. R.I.P. Keon. I love my family.
The coldness and callousness belays that young man's years. Can you just just think of the environment in which that developed? That's learned behavior. That comes from somewhere, right? You unless you are a complete sociopath, you often don't have that kind of behavior. So that was what earlier in the earlier show I was talking about environment. That's what my point. That environment that he was in more than likely influenced this man to behave and believe that behavior is okay. He's calling out to the streets, letting them I'll be home and all of this stuff. Okay. So how can these kids be so cold? How can they be so nonchalant?
And you know, Doc, that's why we're having this conversation tonight. You know, some people, I mean, as we've had conversation about this, we've had defenders of mental health, and okay, I get that part. We have individuals that talk about coming from socioeconomic deprived community. Doc, these young folk, I don't think they understand the level of consequences in which they find themselves in when you see this type of stuff, Doc. I mean, that's why I think we do a disservice to communities when we don't show this, because we showed a young man earlier who started bawling, you know, like a child.
Yeah.
And then we see this side of this young man who just, you know, if you look at that smirk on his face, it just does something to you. But Doc, I think, man, we got to figure out how do we continue to show what's taking place so that this becomes real to young people, becomes real to communities. But then, as we had John on, we got to figure out how do we access the tools that we need.
Well, we got to find out the tools that we need. That's the $1 million question right there. Because it, like I said, for the last 50, 40 years, the tools that we have been using have not significantly made a dent in this phenomenon.
And Doc, here's something, Doc, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but here's something that has come to mind, and I think all four of these are tools, and all four of these need to be used, and these are also the four pillars that when Orange County had its Orange County Citizen Safety Task Force, these were the four pillars: prevention, intervention, enforcement, and prosecution. All of those have to be used, Doc.
Exactly. But where are we? We're right back to the old standby reactionary. We don't do anything, make any significant changes until we have to react, you know, and that's usually when something is so horrific, it insults our sensibilities, and there's an outcry from the community. Then the politicians say, oh, we're going to throw together this task force, and they're going to put the task force there. The task force is going to make these great suggestions, and they'll say, okay, thank you, task force. We got it now from here. And this minute the task force disbands, they throw the file in the top drawer and go on.
And let me say this, Doc, because I don't want to be dismissive, because and you're familiar with this. There's some programs out there that's doing some great work in changing young people's lives. I don't want to start naming one, because there's a whole lot of them that I'm familiar with that are doing some great work. Doc, I think what we need to do is look at the outcomes from these programs, make sure that they're being paraded as much as we are in here talking about these young folk
And
who are
and you
just,
but you know what one of the key elements of their success is?
what's that?
They have very little government interference. A lot of them are not so much. Government might give them some funds, but they tend to be run by people who are passionate about what they're doing, and those people are fundraisers and can get other means. The moment you go and I'm just being real. The moment you go to the city, you go to the county, you go to the state, there is some oversight. Now, some people don't like that. We know why there's oversight, and there has to be some oversight.
You're right. You're absolutely correct.
It is, y'all, and I'm not knocking any government entity. What I'm saying is, many times the government entities have been burned because people say they're gonna do and they don't do, and that's why the process has become as complicated as it has.
And Doc, what you're speaking of is, and let's just go ahead and put it out there. There is a great deal of accountability that comes with, utilizing taxpayer dollars to be able to provide the services. So that I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, because I personally know some people that have gotten funding and stuff, and they didn't do what they were supposed to do with it. And so you can't help but it's
about the outcomes, Doc. It's about the outcomes. Yeah,
it's a double-edged sword, and this is why it's so important to understand bad actors in our community and not support them.
But I think also, Doc, here's the other side of it. We got to figure how we work together. How do if you're providing mentoring services, but then there's a mental health component that your organization doesn't have a level of expertise in, how do you engage with that mental health resource in your community? If you have girls in your household and you're looking for a gender-specific program that's catering to girls, I mean, I think we can't do this or that. I think we got to do both.
Right. It shouldn't be that, but resources are limited, and you can't feed everybody. And sadly that's it. But what we need to start doing is reducing the production of dysfunction, and that was something that John was talking about. Stop making these dysfunctional kids. Stop, like you said, go upriver and see who's throwing them in. And that's who you get. The people that's throwing them in, that's who you punish. See, and they'll stop throwing people in. So if we go and start making parents accountable, financially accountable, or morally accountable, and make them subject to supervision, training, and all of this, when they get that first child, and we have to intervene. Oh no, you're gonna go take some parenting class for a while.
Hey Doc, what about this? What about, because there's a whole lot of moving parts to this. Single parent family. One of the things we talk about is the responsible fatherhood initiative, with having men present in the lives of their children. We talked about mental health. I mean, there's a lot of different moving parts to this.
Yeah.
How do we figure out not somebody who has the authority or an entity that has any authority over these entities, but somebody who is the clearinghouse, man, an entity that's guiding and directing some traffic so that organizations that don't have an expertise in this can refer to an organization that does it with that. I mean, I just think it has to be a way to do this so that we can provide wraparound services community-wide.
We are not in the place where we are making people accountable enough before the problems start. Okay, we're just not, and we're acting like people will go and learn this stuff on their own. We're pretending that new parents will automatically learn how to parent and turn into to June and Ward Cleaver and raise this all-American family with no problems and everybody goes to school and all of that, and we're not. Too many of our kids under 18 are having encounters with law enforcement. Too many of them don't respect authority. Look, I could not teach school for all the rice in China. I'm sorry. I just could not do it in this day and age because the amount of problems that the teachers have to manage. They spend more time on behavioral issues and conduct issues than they do teaching. And it takes that one child in that class to impact everybody else's learning.
And Doc, we talked about it on the other show. Third grade reading levels.
Yeah.
The information is out there, man. I mean, Doc, we just got to figure, how do we circle the wagon, so to speak?
And we tolerate it because your child can come home, Amy can come home and say, Dad, I'm having trouble reading. And you like, well, wait a minute. Why are you having trouble reading? Is the teacher helping you? Yeah, but she spent all her time with this boy in class who always acting up. That telling you right there, your child is being denied an education and the attention of the teacher that she needs to succeed. And it's not only her, it's the other kids as well. So now because the teacher has spent at least 40% of her day engaged in behavior control, you've robbed those other kids of 40% of learning time, of face time, or interaction time to follow instruction.
And Doc, but here's the other part, and I get what you're saying. Here's the other part, and I'm gonna tell you, here's something I used to do at home, and that is, I used to ask my daughters, where your books at? When I'm walking through the house and I'm sitting back saying, when you gonna pick that up? You know me, Doc, with my girls. When you gonna pick that up? A lot of what we do has to start at home too.
Yeah, but I was laughing because I was thinking about the joke about the kid didn't want their dad to do help them with their homework.
Yeah.
Because every time you help me, I get a D. So sometimes, hey, home ain't the place to get that help. So but I understand what you're saying, and the whole thing is, it used to be that you weren't the exceptional father. You were what your fathers did.
Right. You're right.
Now, someone doing that is exceptional. That's like women now say, "Oh, John, he stayed home with the kids." Well, that's his kids.
Those his kids. You're right.
He ain't babysitting. Them his kids. Oh, he stayed home and babysitted the kid. No, those are his kids.
Those his kids. You're right. Hey, Doc, but again, I think, man, and I know you got a repertoire of what we've been collecting. I think we got to show a lot more of this and let it be reflective, of the community, for the community to say, hey, this is reality. This is happening in our backyard. We got to do something about it.
Yeah. And so many of us are not willing to stand up and speak up. You know, it's almost like the no snitching thing has muted our voices, that we can't stand up and say, here's right and here's wrong. Nobody, you know, everybody think you're judging them, and nobody wants to be judged now. And they'll pull out a Bible scripture and throw it at you. And you know me, knowing that I'm a Bible scholar and reader, I will break that scripture down to them and explain that that's not what that means.
You're right. Doc, you got another clip? You got another clip for us?
Yeah, let me show this one. I don't know where this one will take us, but we'll look at it.
Safety alert: a 16-year-old boy was convicted of murder, will spend the rest of his life in prison. Joshua Coleman shot and killed Deasia Green in an alley last year. 13 Action News reporter Alexis Means was in court when the judge sentenced the teen.
This family is absolutely devastated. They came to court for the sentencing, and they still don't have a motive to why their daughter was shot and killed. 16-year-old Joshua Coleman pleaded guilty to murder and was sentenced to life in prison. The teen shot Deasia Green in the back of the head in an alley. Coleman was stone-faced as Green's mother asked him why he killed her daughter.
Why would Joshua do this to her? She didn't deserve it. She was a social butterfly. She didn't deserve it.
Last year, Toledo police found the 15-year-old girl dead in an alley in the 1300 block of Page. Police said Green was a habitual runaway. The teen's parents reported her missing, but there was something different about this time. The prosecutors said an eyewitness came forward to help TPD solve this case.
I can't tell you enough how important it is for, if you see what's happened to someone, to come forward. And we had an individual that did that, and that takes incredible bravery.
Judge Michael Goulding.
Doc, man, this is happening too often, man.
And what's unique about this one is that both of these were troubled teens. If you paid attention, they were talking about this young lady habitually ran away, and that this time, you know, the family is something different. You know, what's going on in these households? I'm not saying this to be self-righteous. Hear me. I'm not. What I'm trying to do is encourage us to think, just what's going on? Why has this become so not acceptable, but expected? Expected things in our society. Why are we not shocked? Why are we not outraged? Why are we not up in arms and demanding systemic changes? We keep throwing this at the social workers, we throw this at the church, we throw this at the police and everything. And the two biggest influences the community and the parents, and they almost always are not included in the causation of these situations. You know, the thing that frustrates me, Rod, is I was raised hood. Okay, that means I know the behavior of certain groups and populations. Okay, I've been around that dysfunctional behavior and seen it in real time. So when I hear the excuses, they hit different with me, because I've actually seen a lot of this behavior played out, and I know that it's actually people with stupidity and ignorance driving them. They're not trying to learn. See, we want to make it Hallmark package. A lot of these people are not willing to learn. They don't think that they need to learn, and they want to live how they want to live. And to hell with what society says. You know, this is our world, and this is how we live. We got a code. You don't understand.
Doc, you just said something as you packaged all of that up, man. I mean, we've heard, you know, we heard everybody, every other entity get blamed, or I guess put on Front Street.
Yeah.
What's taking place in the community. But when are we going to put the full court press on the community to say, hey, we got to get our arms around this. We got to be more accountable. And I mean, that when curfews in Orange County at one point in time, when unfortunately we had a streak of youth violence taking place, that, you know, curfews were being discussed. But when you talk about things such as curfews that directly impact communities, there was this outrage about, you know, okay, now we're gonna, you know, restrict the movement.
And I'm not, listen, I'm not gonna pee on somebody's head and tell them it's raining. Okay, you know me, right? You know I'm a straight shooter. Here's the cycle I see. Okay, there'll be an incident, and in many communities there's outrage, right? There's outrage and everything, and people want to march, they want to sing, they want to hold candlelight vigils, and talk about change, but do nothing to change. Okay. And it's the same cycle. It's the same cycle over and over. If you I can tell you right now, we can get, you see how we playing these clips? Man, we could go back 20 years, Rod, and see thoughts and prayer clips.
You're right.
Over and over and over and over again, but no definitive behavioral changes in communities. And what people don't understand in these communities is that people who don't live in your community, they don't care about your community. They don't have to live with what you have to live with. So they're not going to fix your problem. And what do they look like coming to your community, fixing a problem you won't fix yourself? You won't even address it. So how are you looking outside for help when you won't help yourself? I don't know any, you know, I'm like this. See, I operate in wisdom and understanding. And it's like I tell people, I've had people call me, Doc, you know, I need you to pray for me. Now, a lot of Christians will not agree with me on this because they think that all Christians, a lot of people think Christians are doormats. And I tell them, no, I'm not going to pray with you. Have you prayed for yourself? Have you petitioned God? Have you stood before God and prayed? See, because he's going to hear your problem from you faster than he's going to hear your problem from me. Okay? And he's going to ask me, well, why didn't Brother Tom pray to me? I ain't heard from Tom.
You got to start with self first.
Exactly. And see, that's a lot of people's problem. They want somebody else to step in their life and solve it. I told you, social workers and counselors are for people who cannot manage their lives. And that's just the bottom line. And that's the reality of it.
So Doc, as we, you know, because we're bringing this in for a landing, Doc, if you had to think about one major solution, one major step forward in terms of just trying to continue to address these issues that we're talking about with young people, what would that one solution be?
Mandatory parenting class for every new parent for 5 years. You will go to kiddie college.
Now you got to go through a whole process before you drive a car.
Listen, in Germany, it takes 12 months to go to driving school.
12 months?
12 months. You gotta do a first aid class. You gotta do a driving theory class. Then you gotta do the actual, you know how you go to the school and drive and all that? You gotta do all of that. You gotta do all of that. And guess what? Because they are turning out professional drivers, there's very few accidents. And when you get on the Autobahn, there's no speed limit. Now, you know, I'm going this summer, so I might rent me a car when I get over there just to get on that Autobahn again. The last time I was on it, I was in the Jeep. You can't go that fast Well, hey, let me rent a Benz, and I can hit 200.
And we don't want
There's
you doing
no
200.
speed limit, Rod.
Hey, Doc, you know, we've talked about a whole lot here, man. And one of the things that we focused on too was consequences. Before you and I went live, and I'm gonna end us with this, and I want your contribution. Remember, we went back to 1994. Singapore.
Yeah.
Michael Faye.
Michael Faye.
And I mean, we've been around for a little while. Go ahead, Doc. Tell people what happened to Michael Faye.
Okay, in 1994, Michael Faye, an American team, was in Singapore, and he sprayed some graffiti on the wall. When subsequently he was arrested and tried and found guilty, and they sentenced him to 6 lashes with a cane. Now, if y'all never seen those canes, what they do, it's a cane pole, but on the end of it, they split it, right? And that's what the split end is what they beat you with. You get them lashes with. So all of this now, this is an American kid over in this country. Now, in this country, they're very strict. They don't play that. And it ended up because the United States government stepped in with an appeal and all that, they reduced it down to 4.
And that was leniency.
So he got out of 2 of them.
Hey, Doc, do you think he stole any more street signs?
Man, I bet he's the most tamest American ever.
Hey.
That's like Turkey. Do you know how harsh the penalty is for bringing marijuana into Turkey?
Well, I don't know, but Doc, who was the WNBA basketball player? Where was she coming back from?
Yeah, that was Russia. She was in Russia.
Well,
that was more political than anything else. But there's a movie called Midnight Run. Came out years ago, and it's about a young man, American, who got caught with hashish in Turkey. Well, they make hash in Turkey. Don't ask me how I know. But
your military travel. Hey, Doc.
Anyway,
I'm gonna bring us on in because we don't want to go through your military travels because you've been all around the world. But hey, for those of you who've been tuned in to Let's Talk Nation tonight, Doc Polite and I were just having a conversation about we need to make sure that we focus and hone in on and Miss Cheryl talks about hold up and does he get and did he grasp his consequences? I bet you he didn't steal any more street signs.
No, it wasn't. It was graffiti, wasn't it?
Street signs and
graffiti?
And graffiti, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hey, but you know what, Doc? I'm going to bring us in for a landing, man. This has been a great conversation, but I think we need to keep more of this out there. And, man, if I had my druthers about something that needs to be really replicated in the school system with as many young men, and especially young black men, based on their representation of the population of African American compared to the consequences of being represented in corrections, juvenile delinquency. Hey, this is the kind of conversation we need to be having, not just with these young people, but with their parents as well. So for those of you who tuned in, we appreciate you. Doc Polite, you know I appreciate you, man. John Burns, Miss Cheryl Walker. Hey, thank y'all for tuning in. And until next week, and I think the general will be back from special assignment. Tune in to Let's Talk Nation. We look forward to having you.